Look now leaving to head to the RAF Club, where she will meet and talk with more of the veterans here today. Well, now His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, himself a pilot, and joined by the Duchess of Cornwall in this informal setting, enjoying time with some of the members of Bomber Command. And it is an extraordinary sight on a quite extraordinary day to see so many of the surviving members of Bomber Command lining up under the shadow of this magnificent memorial to them and their fallen comrades, etched in stone, in bronze, and of course in memories.
I wanted to get in their faces the sort of emotions of tiredness, relief, strain, the thought of having to go again in 24 or 48 hours. 5 of them are looking towards the sky for the aircraft that won't return, and this is the link between the living and the dead. And then 2 of the figures are looking towards the ground to give the group a feeling of sadness and pathos. And I always looked at it as a band of brothers welded together in the heat of war. And of course, if you look at the sculpture, there are no badges of rank. Every man was as important as his fellow man on board. They all had a function to perform, and if they didn't perform it, then they put the whole crew at risk.
One of the key characteristics of the design is that the central opening in the roof is immediately above the heads of the 7 aircrew sculpture, and that little piece of sky framed immediately above them has a very strong relationship with history and of course the destiny of many of these lost airmen. Our design for the roof is in many ways a homage to Barnes Wallis and his diagrid airframe design for the Wellington bomber. And above that, the ceiling of the memorial is formed from melted down ingots of aluminium from a Halifax bomber that was shot down in 1944 on its way home from a mission over Germany. We were very fortunate to have somebody from Bomber Command to be able to make a contribution to the memorial, and C.J. Dudley, who got a DFC towards the end of the war, carved the wreath which will be at the centre of the south front of the memorial. It's a space where people can become aware of that sacrifice that 55,000 young men made serving in Bomber Command.
I, of course, needed the veterans to see and approve it.
How are you? How are you?
To begin with, they were very, I think, suspicious, very worried that I would not do justice to their memories. So they were invited to come and see each figure as it was completed. And after the first figure, they became great friends.
Yeah.
I think that all the veterans that came down were extraordinary examples of mankind. I mean, their spirit was indomitable. A lot of them didn't understand why they had survived and would freely admit that it was just luck. Their camaraderie has lasted for sort of 65, 70 years, and they still sort of joke as old men as they did at the age of 22 when they climbed onto that bomber.
Well, for those who really have waited so long for this day, the memorial and this great act of public recognition has had a profound effect, especially for those who have come here today to pay their respects.
It is a wonderful day, an incredible situation, it's an incredible all-round show. And the Queen was wonderful as well. I like the way the Queen claps every time she sees a flyover.
I think I'm very lucky. I think that's the greatest thing. I'm just sorry that there are not more of us here, and particularly the POWs. I go to more funerals and weddings, many more funerals and weddings. They're passing away so quickly, and I can't go to all of them. I try to go, and there's some great men among them.
To be here on a day like this is memorable beyond belief. It was a chance, not just for Dad to remember people who died. It was a chance for the country to honour people like Dad and all those others that did survive.
I'd lost my brother, I'd lost close relatives, schoolmates, friends that I'd made in the service, and see them all going down, disappearing, never having known the joy of a life, I used to get choked, but they've done such a lovely job here. I feel different. That's all I can say on that. I do feel different. I think it's marvellous.
I've met quite a number of people today whose fathers were killed before they were born, as was mine. But I'm sure that all these men will look down on this wonderful memorial and be very proud of what they did for this country. And I'm sure they're not, there's no sadness, but today they can see there's quite a lot of happiness and quite a lot of joy in this occasion.
Despite the controversy over the role of the bomber at the end of the war, these were the Bomber Boys. They knew the grave dangers of serving in Bomber Command and volunteered anyway. They bravely fought for the freedom of these islands. This is their lasting memorial, and this is their day at last. In the words of John Maxwell Edmonds, "Went the day well? We died and never knew but well or ill. Freedom, we died for you."